Hey guys, my name is Olivia and I am coming at you with my July wrap-up and my August TBR. And I can't believe it's almost August. It's my birthday month next month and I'm so excited. I'm just going to share with you what I read in the month of July and share with you what I want to read in the month of August. The first book that I read was a reread for me, and the first time around I didn't really enjoy it as I should have, because there was a big hype about it and I was like, okay, well, I'll read it. But at that point in time I was in such a bad reading slump that I was like, I don't know about this book. So at that point in my life I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, which isn't bad, but it's just like so in my opinion. And normally I don't change my ratings, but with this one I kind of did, because I was more in the mood to read this, and that is The Raven Boys by Matthew Stiefvater. And I enjoyed this the second time around, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars instead of a 3 out of 5 stars this time. And I still don't get the hype. I don't understand half of it half the time, but I'm trying this series and I'm just going to try until, I don't get it anymore. And at this point I'm like, well, you tried, and that's all you can do. The next book that I read is more of a manga. Actually, it's a manga, and I picked it up. I wanted to pick it up for a long time, ever since I saw Jesse the Reader read this manga, and he said it was really good, and I decided to pick up the first volume, which has, I guess, 4 or 5 different volumes in it, and that is Orange by Ichigo Takano? I don't know how to say their name. But this pretty much follows a girl who one day she gets a letter from her future self about doing all these different things, and as she goes on in time she finds out that a lot of this is true, and she has to try to save this boy who isn't with them in the future. So we have to find out the whole mystery about that, and the ending totally got me with this one, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars because it's so good, and the anime is good as well, as far as I can tell. It's only on like the 4th or 5th episode, so I'm excited because it's so good and I love it, and it's so cute, and I needed something like this because I love this type of anime and manga. The next book was another reread for me, and I wanted to do it because I reread the first book in this series, trilogy, duology thing. I don't know what it's called yet. But I reread A Court of Thorns and Roses last month, I think I did, and I wanted to reread A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, and so I did. And after reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, I picked up on a lot of stuff that I didn't pick up the first time around, and so this time I realized a lot of other stuff, and I could see a lot of the other things that I was hearing about on Tumblr and on BookTube and all that stuff. And I didn't pick up the first time around reading this book because I guess I was so excited reading this book that I was like, okay, I just gotta get through this fast enough. And then I didn't, and then I was like, oh, well, this time around it was better than the first time around. And I love Tamlin. I don't love Tamlin anymore. What am I talking about? Reese is my favorite. I love him. I've always loved him, and I love how he makes this book better than Tamlin would have. Just saying. The next book that I read, it was a recommendation by my friend Serena, and I will put her YouTube down below, her BookTube down below. She recommended me this book because me and her have a mutual love for mermaids, and her name means mermaid in Spanish, as I probably told you before, and how we're doing this read-along with a whole bunch of other people. Some are from New Jersey and some are just mermaid lovers. So I will announce that in August when we are doing that. But so she recommended me Of Poseidon by Anna Banks, and I've only read the first book. It's in a trilogy. It goes Of Poseidon, Of Triton, and then Of Neptune. It follows a girl named Emma, who she meets this guy named Galen, who they kind of just run into each other one day, and Galen's a merman, and she doesn't know a lot of stuff that happens in this book because I'm not going to spoil, but this book, I loved it so much, I really did, and I'm waiting for the second book to finally come to me. Like, I need to find it, and I need it now. It's so bad. Anyway, so this is a book about mermaids, and it's really good. I love mermaid books, and I have a little section on my shelf over there somewhere for my mermaid books, which I only have a few, so it's growing, so don't worry. And I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. This book is a book that I borrowed from my friend Lauren. She absolutely loves this series, and she's like, oh, you should read this, and I think I read most of the books, and the last book just came out this year, and I was like, okay, well, you borrowed my copy of The Maze Runner, so I can definitely borrow this book, like, it's fine, like, you know, she told me I could borrow it, so it's fine. I Am Number 4 by Cactus Lore. Yeah, that rhymes, I remember that. And this basically is about when on this, how do I describe this book? So basically there's this planet called Lorien, and it's sent down, I guess, a certain amount of chosen, and so when each chosen die, there's like a marking on their wherever, I don't know, I think it was on his ankle, and whenever they die, like, that's when they know, but they have to die in order. So number 1 has died, number 2 has died, number 3 has recently died, and this kid is number 4, and he's on the next, like, hit list thing, and they're on the run from these Mogadorians, I think I'm saying that right, who are basically the Lorien's enemies, and they're basically trying to stop the Mogadorians from trying to take over Earth, because Earth is on their next planetary takeover list, I think. But I'm not doing the summary justice, I'm butchering it. But I have this book I borrowed from Lauren, and then I have, I think, the 3rd or 4th book right there. And so it's a good series. I'm planning on rereading this series so that I can get caught up for the last book, because I just bought Lauren the last book for her birthday, and she was like screaming because she was so happy about it. But I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. 4 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read, I mentioned its first book already in this wrap-up, I guess you could say. And I decided to give this next book a chance because, you know, I'm all for giving things a chance. And that is Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater, and it's the second book in the Raven cycle. And I enjoyed this one much more than I enjoyed The Raven Boys. I think this definitely did not have a second book slump like a lot of people do. I really did like this, and there's a lot of events that happened in this book that I really enjoyed. It's basically just the sequel, and I can't really say anything about the sequel because it's a sequel and it will spoil things, so I can't do that. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, just like I did with The Raven Boys, and it definitely got much better. I was still confused some of the time because, like, the talk of ley lines and all that stuff still kind of confuses me, but I guess once I get to Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and the Raven King, it'll all be more explained, and if not, then I don't really care. The last 3 books that I have are part of a trilogy, and I marathoned them all at the end of the last month, and so basically they were on my TBR, and I had to get books on my TBR done because, you know, I hadn't read much before I picked up these books. So I picked up the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, and so first it goes The Summer I Turned Pretty, and then it's Not Summer Without You, and then We'll Always Have Summer. And these are all by Jenny Han, who you might know wrote P.S. I Still Love You and To All the Boys I Loved Before, which that should be switched around a bit. So basically this series is about a girl named Isabel, or Belly as they call her, and she goes to the beach every summer, this place called Cousins Beach, with her family and then her mom's best friend Susanna and her boys. And so pretty much Belly's in love with Conrad, the older one, and then there is Jeremiah, who, you know, was like her first kiss and everything, and it's basically about her trying to struggle through that summer. And then this one is the sequel where it takes place after the summer, and, you know, a lot of sad things happened at the end of that summer, and you know, it's once you reread it, you totally forget what happens. And this one is basically, I guess, 2 years after that, and you know, this one took some twists and turns. It really did. I totally forgot what happened, and you know, it was refreshing because I forgot what happened. So basically, those were the books that I read in July. I read a total of 9 books, and so now I'm going to show you what I want to read for next month. Okay. So what's on my TBR for next month is basically this, because it's roughly what it is, and you know, I'm just gonna go ahead. So last month I didn't really get to a lot of books that I wanted to get on my TBR because I've had these 2 specific books for a long time that I needed to get to. And so I'm just going to tell you which ones that I wanted to get to but never did, and then tell you the other ones. So the first book that I'm going to tell you is one that's a second book in a trilogy, and the trilogy just ended this year, and that is The Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey. Again, names rhyme. So basically I haven't started this yet, I haven't read this yet. I was going to in the month of July, and I just totally didn't get to it because I just wanted to read a whole bunch of other books. And so basically this is the sequel to The Fifth Wave, and I don't know much about it because I forget what happens in The Fifth Wave, but you know, I'm just gonna get caught up in it anyway, so. Anyway, I'm going to try and read The Fifth Wave if I have time, that is, because I've been working 8 hours every day, and I just need to get this done. Next book is the ending of a trilogy that I think ended a year, maybe 2 years ago, and that is Champion by Marie Lu, and I have read Legend and Prodigy, and I just can't wait to finish this trilogy. I mean, like, I can't wait, but like, I can wait. Like, I don't want it to end. I want it to end. Like, you know what I mean. But I've had this for a long time on my TBR shelf, or TBR thing, and I definitely do want to read it because, you know, it looks like a good ending, and I just can't wait to pick up her next series, The Young Elites, or whatever the heck that trilogy's name is, and because The Midnight Star is coming out next year, so I can't wait for that. The next book that I want to read is a sequel, but it's like the second book in a trilogy, and Jesse the Reader loves this trilogy, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Lake City by Ransom Riggs. And so I haven't read this yet. I have the price on here, and so I can't wait to read this because last one, it was really good, and I can't wait to get to this next one, and it looks a little bit creepier than the other one, so I'm excited. And you know, the movie's coming out soon, so I want to get myself caught up on the series as soon as possible. The next book I am going to probably read for the Mermaid readathon that I'm doing, and you know, I'm just gonna bring this up because it's here, and then it's like one of these set books that I want to read, and that is The Siren by Kira Katz, and this was another recommendation by Serena. And so basically I think it's about a siren who's in love with a human. I think it's like your typical Little Mermaid, sort of, but it's very shiny cover, and I'm looking for any type of mermaid book that I can get my hands on. So if you know any, comment down below that I haven't read, and I will take your comment into consideration for my TBR for the readathon. Now the next 9 books I'm not gonna bring out because they're heavy and they have a beautiful spot on my shelf. So I just brought out the first book, and you all probably can understand what this is because of the hype that's going on right now. So I'm planning on rereading this whole series in anticipation for the movie release that's coming out, and we all know how excited I am for this because it was literally one of my recent videos. And so I'm going to plan to reread the Maximum Ride series by James Patterson. And yes, I've already read this series so many times, but you can't go wrong with Maximum Ride. You just can't. And so I'm excited to reread the series. I already started rereading Maximum Ride: The Angel Experiment. I have 2 copies of this, so I'm not going to read out of this copy because, as you can see, it's kind of like old. But so I'm going to read The Angel Experiments, School's Out Forever, Saving the World and Other Extreme Sports, The Final Warning, Max, Bang, Angel, Nevermore, and Max on Ride Forever. I think that's mine. And I'm gonna try to get through all of those, so then once the end of August comes and the end of September comes, I can definitely be caught up for the rest of that series. I mean, I'm already caught up, but you know, I want my babies. My babies. These are my babies. I'm really excited for this movie, if you haven't could tell, and you know, on my Twitter, I am excited too, but you know, there's a lot of issues going on that, you know, I addressed in Twitter, so I will link you down below to my Twitter, which is probably already linked down below. But anyway, I am definitely super pumped for this movie. I'm just very weary because of the different arguments that are going on, and you know, we've already heard my feelings on this, so I'm just gonna stop talking about it before you guys get bored of me. Another book that I have to read before I go back to school on August 21st is Consequence by Eric Fair. I'm sorry, Eric, if I said your name is Aaron. So this book, I forget what it's about, but I have to read it for one of my classes, and Lauren's in this class with me. So she has to read this book too. And I don't know what it's about. I read the first page, and I still haven't read it. Shocker. But I think it's about something, somebody is... Okay, so it's basically about how, like, this guy served his country in Iraq, and, you know, he lives in Bethlehem, I think that's where it is, that's where I go to school, and so I'm excited for this. This is an arc. I got it from thrift books, and I was like, I didn't know, I just wanted paperback because the hardbacks were really expensive, so I was like, I need paperback, and paperback was really inexpensive, so I got the ARC version, which I didn't expect. So I am excited to try and start this month, and I have to get to it this month or else I'm gonna explode. But I think it's gonna be one of the first books I read this month, so I can just get it done and over with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that was my July wrap up and my August TBR. My name is Olivia, you're on Bookish Bird Kids Nice channel, and I hope to see you again for another video. And, you know, happy August. Bye!